Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shilpa Bhat, senior producer at 99 Games. Just to tell you about 99 Games, we have been developing and publishing mobile games since 2008. Some of our notable titles are Words for Jim and Frank Mysteries, Doom 3 the Game, Spell Up, and the recent one being Star Chef. So I know this is a marketing track, and you might be, wanting to know how more about the marketing strategy and things like that. But I'll start by giving, a little bit background on the product, because behind every successful marketing strategy, there lies a well-designed product. Does that work? Just tell you the story so far. We'll go through a quick preview video. Can you set up the volume, please? Can you set up the volume, please? वीडियो आ रहा है ठीक है Star Chef. Star Chef, as we call it, is a lovingly crafted cooking and restaurant management game. We call it lovingly crafted because our team has put in a lot of, attention to details, and it's a, game in the cooking and restaurant genre space. It's a game where, a player starts as an amateur chef and gradually grows his cooking and restaurant business and eventually becomes a star chef. There are many, cooking games out there. You might have heard of games like Diner Dash and so on, which are more in the time management genre, where you have to cook something within a predefined time. But this game is a slower paced game. The player can play at his own pace. That's something different about this game. We launched the game worldwide on 21st August 2014. The game is currently only on the iOS, and we'll be launching it soon on Android as well. The target audience is women aged between 20 to 55. This is something we were very clear, right from the initial conceptualization phase, that we want to target this particular audience base for this game. The reason being that, the women aged between 20 to 55 is one of the high spending segment, and this is the main target audience for the cooking and restaurant management game as well. The game has a global appeal. It has the right mix of cooking, social, and freemium. So cooking theme is a universal theme. Food and cooking is a universal theme. Almost every country, every culture has food as an integral part of their culture. And this is why we felt, the game can appeal to a much wider audience. So who is our audience? Our audience are millions of foodies, cooking enthusiasts, fans of chef series on TV. So they are all our audience, So the game is having such a wide audience because of the cooking genre. When this blended well with the freemium monetization model and good social elements, that can lead to a globally commercial successful game. So that was the thought behind this game concept. I'm going to share a few numbers with you today. I know many of the developers don't share such numbers. So when we started Star Chef, we did not have any such reference number in mind. So we thought, so if our numbers can help the gaming ecosystem of India, why not share a few of these numbers? So here I'm presenting a few numbers of our game. We have crossed 4 million downloads so far, and almost 50% of our downloads are organic. That means for every acquired install, I'm getting a free install in the game. Some of the engagement KPIs, we have around 187K daily active user. We just crossed 1 million monthly active users last month, October, and our median session length is 5.32 minutes, and our players play on an average of 8 sessions per day. Some monetization KPIs, 3.47% of payer conversion. That means among all our players, around 3.47% of the players are actually spending in the game. And $1.2 of ARPU, 15 cents of ARPDAU, and $35 of average revenue per paying user. So on an average, a paying user spends $35 in our game. So the game has been showing a very strong in-app monetization right from the beginning. This is a distribution of the payers in the game. We have around 48% of the payers, who are paying between $2 to $10 in the game, and around 38% who are spending between $10 to $300 in the game. So that means around 1/3 of our payers are paying between $10 to $300 in the game. And the highest amount spent by a single payer in our game is $8,446. That's by a single player in a game. Our top performing geos are, it's spread across the world. It's US, Europe, APAC. So in the Europe, it's more of United Kingdom, France, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, and APAC, Australia, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Malaysia. These are the top performing geos. We have been receiving excellent reviews and ratings worldwide. Over 100K ratings we have received. This is only on the iOS App Store. Over 50K reviews, and our average rating on every geo is 4.7 stars. And this is completely organic. We did not game the system. So after having spent a good amount of time in the development of this game, we spent around 1 year in the development of this game. And when we thought, okay, we have all the basic functionalities in and we are ready for a launch of this game, we decided to soft launch this game in a couple of countries. The whole soft launch or the go-to-market strategy, right from the beginning was a well thought out process. We knew what we are going to do in every state. So we started, a soft launch of a game in Australia and Canada. And Australia, we started seeing, very good results, both in terms of retention and monetization. We followed iPad first strategy. When we soft launched the game, our game was available only on the iPad. The reason being that we wanted to validate the monetization potential of our game before we do any further efforts on this game. And we felt if the game has a monetization potential, for this particular target audience, the game has to do well on iPad. And that's the reason we went iPad first. However, we were seeing very good results in Australia, but not so consistent monetization tendency in Canada. So we just wanted to validate or confirm that the game is having good enough, monetization capacity, and we wanted to extend the soft launch. We launched the game in UK as well. And there again, we started seeing the similar trends as in UK. As in Australia. We started with a small scale UA during soft launch, that was more to, confirm the basic rule of the marketing. The LTV should be higher than the cost of acquiring a customer. We wanted to ensure that the game is monetizing enough so that we can, get a ROI on our investment on this game. And so we started with a very small scale UI to get those initial set of users. We were very focused on the customer delight during the soft launch. we had a button called mail to us. It's in a very prominent place in the game screen where the players could directly write to us. So that is something we gave a very high importance on during the soft launch, where players were writing to us directly on what they are liking about the game, what are the pain points, and we were making sure to respond to them immediately, engage them more, get their feedback, and fix them in the upcoming updates. So that is something helped us tremendously during the soft launch. The goals during soft launch were very clear to us. They were retention, monetization, and social element KPIs. We wanted to set those KPIs right during soft launch, and we did not want to go to the worldwide launch before we set them right. So these are the KPIs that we were keeping an eye on. And we did a pilot period for a good 6 months. We iterated and continuously iterated on the product. We kept on giving the newer update, ensure that our retention figures, our monetization figures are up to the mark as we would expect. Meanwhile, we built a scalable backend system during soft launch. This was required because the game is completely online. The game has a lot of social element, trading, etc. So it is very important to have a scalable backend system so that the servers scale as we scale our user base. This is something the development team was working during the soft launch, and we could build a very good scalable system. So currently our servers can handle millions of requests per second. What happened? I press this one. Huh? What should I? क्या करना है? क्यों नहीं आ रहा? Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So we built a scalable backend system, and we ensure that our retention metrics are up to the mark during the soft launch. This is how the retention curves were, improving. As of now, we have around 36% of one-day retention and 17% of day 7 retention. We have a very good retention of even 5% after 180 days. During soft launch, we also introduced a very important feature in our game to build the social aspect and build the community. That's called food truck and chef store. Till then, our game was more of a single player where you would play alone. It's all about your kitchen, your restaurant, your business. But then after introduction of this feature, the game became much more social. The people started interacting with each other. In this feature, you could sell whatever you are preparing in your kitchen on the chef store, and there is a food truck which carries whatever you're selling to other players, and the other players would see them and buy them at real time. This trading helped us a lot in improving the social aspect and the viral aspect of the game. This is a month-on-month how the food truck transactions were increasing, and during this period we saw over 16 million transactions on the food truck, and as of today we have seen over 220 million transactions on the food truck. After the soft launch, the game was quite ready with good retention numbers, monetization numbers, and we felt, okay, now we are ready for a worldwide launch. And we launched the game worldwide with the iPhone support. Till then, the game was only on the iPad. And we launched it on 21st August 2014. The game was localized in English, French, German, Spanish, Italian, and Russian. And we had around 50 levels of gameplay when we launched it. We also started a Facebook page. That was one of the first steps towards building a community outside the game. We have over 100K likes as of today in the Facebook page. And 43% of our daily active users are connected to Facebook. We have this Facebook integration within our game where you can see your Facebook friends, those who are playing the Star Chef within the game, and you can interact with them. You can get help from them. You can send gifts to them, and there are other activities that you can do within the game. those who are connected to Facebook. And around 43% of our daily active users are connected to Facebook. And we also have these sharing features within the game where you can share your achievements on the Facebook timeline. So, it's something like a player achieves a star status. Hey, I became sous chef. I became chief, star chef. So they can, share those achievements on the timeline. Or when I unlock the Mexican cuisine or Italian cuisine, I can share them on the timeline. And on a daily basis, we are seeing over 500,000 daily impressions of the Facebook shares on the Facebook timeline. When we launched worldwide, we were featured in the best of August, so because of the product quality and the game was doing very well. And this featuring also gave us a good number of organic downloads. We also received best of 2014 batch by Apple, which is again something we could use in all our marketing collaterals moving forward. And these were some of the initial marketing assets, how they were looking like then. Not so great, but they were serving the purpose at that time. So next stage, our game was doing globally well. The game was doing well in US, the game was doing well in Europe. We had again, pretty good monetization in all these countries like France, Germany, Switzerland, US. So what's the next stage? We thought we should be exploring something new. We thought we should explore Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia was a pleasant surprise for us. We localized the game in simplified and traditional Chinese to cater to the countries like China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and believe me, all these countries rock. The kind of monetization figures that we are seeing in countries like Taiwan, they closely match with US. The kind of average revenue per paying user or average revenue per user, they're closely matching with the US figures. And if you think bringing to any new geo or new culture is all about localization, it's not just localization. It's about culturalization. It's beyond localization. So it's not just about translating the game text to a new language. So when we brought our game to the new geos, even to Europe or even to Southeast Asia, there were certain things we had to take care of in the game. It's very important that a game or a product, they relate, those local culture, people, they relate it to their culture. So how we took care of it? First of all, our game theme was global. So even if a player from the Southeast Asia plays it, it's not that, he doesn't want to explore the Italian cuisine or a Mexican cuisine. He would still want to do that. But there has to be something within the game which, he feels quite closely related to. One thing we took care to say that, all the characters in the game are from the different parts of the world. Even the customers who walk into the restaurant, they appear in different dressing style or they appear, from the different parts of the world. Or even the chefs are the same. And we have anyway cuisines from over, 8 kind of cuisines, over 100 kind of dishes from all over the world. And when we introduced to China or Southeast Asia, we made sure that we have introduced the restaurant decors, the kind of look and feel you have in the game, they vary from geo to geo. We also had to take care of, some cultural nuances in the game. It's very important. For example, I'm just giving an example. There's a bowl of noodles here with the two chopsticks, put in them. Looked good, our artist felt the art is good, but for the Asian countries, it's a big no, because, culturally, they serve a bowl of food with a two chopstick for the dead. So it is, usually it is offered that way to the dead. And in fact, one of our, players in the community helped us to identify that, hey, you may not want to do it, it's against the culture. So there are several such things we had to take care of in the game. Even the splash screen. A splash screen is the first screen that you would see when you launch the game. For example, this is a splash screen you would see in our game in languages in Western and European languages. Whereas, if a player launches the game in China or any other Asian language, this is the kind of splash screen he would see, which is slightly localized. We have a Chinese, not Chinese basically, an Asian lady there, and the dishes are also more of Asian oriented. That is shown in the splash screen. We also developed some specific themes, for the events like Chinese New Year and Russian Maslenitsa. What we did was, during Chinese New Year, our entire game theme, entire restaurant theme were more of Chinese New Year theme. That was something which gave us good organic number of downloads, and our game was prominently featured that time in China in App Store, and even during Russian Maslenitsa in Russia. These helped us to get some good organic numbers. So overall, this Southeast Asian experience was a good culturalization success for us, and we found ourselves in top grossing charts of Taiwan that time. And we found that there were very few Western games, Western-made games in the top grossing charts, like Clash of Clans, Candy Crush Soda Saga, and one of them being Star Chef. So as our game was expanding, we were scaling our user base. We had to, take care of monetizing them more. So we thought, we'll add some ad monetization. Till then, we were more into in-app based monetization only. But we did not want to sacrifice the user experience in the game, so we were very sure on that, and we introduced on-demand videos. On-demand videos is like, they are non-intrusive. So basically, they don't come on your face. So it's like a small TV shown on the terrain. If the player wants to see an ad, he would tap on the TV, a video ad would come, and after watching the video ad, he would get a reward. So on tapping the TV, you would get a dialogue, take a short break, watch a short commercial and earn a reward. The user would watch a video and would earn some reward out of it. So this has worked very well for us. The user experience isn't, compromised here. The players who want to go for such video ads would watch it and earn the rewards, and it is monetizing well for us as well. We also introduced recently the native ads. These are again non-intrusive. These are not like interstitials that would come on launch or exit of the game, but these are, a part of the game. You can see a board there. So it's like a city view, and within there you have a roadside banner. It looks very much like it's a part of the, your game city or your game theme. And again, if the user is interested in the kind of ad he's seeing, he would tap on that and go to the App Store and download it. This is another example of the native ad that we have introduced. It's again in the food truck, so where people are selling the food items. So when you are browsing through what are the food items are available for them to buy, they would see one or two small ads in between, which are again non-intrusive. These are just part of, very well blended into the UI. So at this stage, our game was doing well globally, and now the major challenge for us was to control the cost per install. So as you might be knowing, the user acquisition is really expensive. So how we improve our marketing assets? I showed you some of the marketing assets earlier on how we were doing it. The monetization is good, but how do I get CAC versus LTV balance? So so it's important to improve upon our marketing assets as well as you scale your user acquisition. So what was the basis behind improving our marketing assets? For us, it was player sentiments. So what is a player sentiment in Star Chef? Star Chef is not just a game about cooking and food. It connects to player over their love for food, the joy of creation, the pride of ownership and star status. These are the fundamental sentiments behind the game, or are the target audience, who are trying to connect to our game. And what are the marketing assets that we would do for these kind of, sentiments? We wanted to ensure that these sentiments are carried right from the marketing assets into the game. So these are the kind of marketing asset we would show. When a food item is shown in a very well manner, it would attract a person who would love the food, or a person who gets a joy of creation, who believes in creating something extraordinary out of the ordinary ingredients. These are the kind of art assets it would appeal to them. This is an example of something called as multi-product ad that we would run on Facebook. What you see in the timeline is the first part of the ad, and you can scroll it, to see further. So here it, kind of shows a cooking technique of, burger. So these are the kind of ads that would attract the people who love food, who love cooking, and who would love this kind of game. So when they get into the game, they're already half into the game. They know that this is a game for them. And this helps us to get the right kind of audience who would, eventually become the fans or even the super fans of the game. Another animating, example, which is we call as cinema graphs on Facebook. That helps to quickly grab the attention of the users who are browsing the Facebook timeline. And once the user, goes through a marketing asset, and then he goes to the App Store and downloads your game. When he first time launches the game, we wanted to ensure that it is the same player sentiment that is carried into the game as well. So this is a video we have, as a first time user experience into the game, which talks about something similar, sentiments. The star chef. So this is the first time user experience the players get, and okay, now they would know this is a game I would like to play, and this is, why I relate to that game. So what's next? So here we are, we have achieved good number of, monetization KPIs. The game is globally doing very well, and we have broken this stereotype that, Indian game developers cannot make a globally commercially successful game out of India. So here we have achieved it. Then what's next? So we were, looking deeper into our game engagement metrics, and we were comparing it with some global stats as well. So as per some global stats, on an average, a user spends around 2.5 hours every day on the mobile phones. Of course, the stats may vary from country to country, but on an average, let's say, it's about 2.5 hours. So in this 2.5 hours, the Star Chef player on an average plays for 42 minutes a day. So in that 2.5 hours, we have already taken 42 minutes of their time on the phone. So what does it mean to us? When we think about cooking and restaurants or chefs, the first global name that comes to our mind is Master Chef. And the Master Chef has the show time of 40 minutes, whereas our game has a engagement of 42 minutes per day. So we have already beaten that number. So what can we do next? Can we grow as the brand like them? So that is the next big dream that we have set to ourselves. At 99 Games, we are a bunch of crazy dreamers. So let's see if we can achieve that. I may have some, some more good information for you next year with our experiments here. And let's see. Okay, that's all from my end. Thank you. Any questions? We have achieved over 4 million downloads so far.
4 million?
Yes.
And what is the revenue you get per month?
I've shared the ARPDAO and all, so it's a simple math for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
you use multiple channels?
Multiple channels.
And what was the average
media.
CPM? Sorry, if you can answer that question.
CPMs vary from country to country, but CPMs are very,
Was
increasing.
it $1 or 2.5, what?
Yeah, it's increasing, somewhere, from $2 to $6, I would say.
So you actually spent about $4 million for those 1.9 million?
It varies from, as I said, country to country, and also at different part of the time. So what we saw in the early this year varies from, what is happening, at the end of the year, because, as the Christmas approaches, the cost per install would increase. So it would vary over the period of time. Yeah.
can I ask one?
Was the reason behind selecting Australia and Canada as your starting of soft
Yeah,
launch?
usually I think most of the, if you have observed the global developers, they soft launch in Australia and Canada because they say the user behavior in Australia and Canada closely matches with the US behavior. So if it is, doing well in Australia, it gives you an indication that it's going to do well in US too. Yeah. Any other questions?
One question here.
Yeah.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say thank you for making a top grossing game that's not Teen Patti.
Yeah.
Just a question. In terms of user acquisition, say initially, what channels work better for you? So if you can compare Facebook versus the other channels used, and for a new game developer or a new app, what are the channels one could look at?
I cannot give the exact names here, but social media channels are, overall they do very well, so overall. So it's not just Facebook, it could be Twitter or, other social media channels as well. And it depends from the game to game, the kind of genre you have. I would say try all the channels, so you might be surprised to see that one channel is particularly doing well for you, because even the non-social media channel, there could be some channels which have a very strong audience in one particular genre. So if you have a racing game or if you have an arcade game, probably that channel will work much better than Facebook for you. So it depends, so I would say try all the channels in at least, small amount and see what works best for you.
So your game is running in various countries, right? Doing good in various countries. You have game running in America and it's in China also, and you are making most of the money out of in-app purchase itself, right? So, but are you keeping like the pricing is same in both the countries, or are you experimenting with the pricing itself?
Till recently, our pricings were same across the country, though we have just started experimenting, with the lower pricing, because iTunes and on the iOS, they just introduced this lower price on some of the countries like China. So we have just started experimenting there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So any other questions? That's all then. Yeah. Sorry, I can't hear.
Throughout the presentation, we saw that you had a well-designed, well-finished, good consumer-centric app. So was it that product helped you a lot in terms of marketing? As to many times we feel that the app has been launched and we keep on pivoting our marketing. So in your whole journey, was it always a journey up, or did you face any downs? And if you faced, then how did you come up out of it?
With Star Chef, yeah, I would say it was always a journey up, and it was a well thought out, and we knew what we wanted to do right from the beginning. We are very focused on what our target audience is, what our target audience likes, and we went on designing a game, that might be suitable for that particular audience. And I wouldn't say the game is completely polished as of now. It's an ongoing process. So I think even after 1 year, we would be still continuously improving our product. And that is something. It's not like, worldwide launch, it's the end of your product, cycle. You should be continuously improving the quality, measure it properly. We spend a lot of time in the analytics in the game, We are still measuring, and we still know some weak points in our game which we want to address in the upcoming updates. It could be the way the initial tutorial is used, the way the players are progressing from level to level, the way the players are interacting with, their peers or their friends in the game. So all these factors we keep a close eye on. We spend a lot of time in analytics, we study them very closely and see, okay, what's the next best thing we can do to address this thing. So it is like a continuous improvement process, both from the marketing aspect side as well as the product. So product has to keep evolving, and so is your marketing strategies. Because the same strategy that you might have used last year or, in the beginning of this year may not work now, so you have to keep evolving there.
So to continue with that, so what percentage of your effort really went into setting up the establishment for analytics? And given that you put a lot of emphasis on analytics, what is your developer workforce, or how much do you put in a lot of effort into this analytics?
Yes, I would say, they are all equally important, but there might be at different stages of your product. So when we develop the product, it's a development team, which is, the core effort, goes into. But once it gets released, soft launch, soft launch is the place where the analytics would start mainly. And then it's the analytics and development hand in hand. The development may not be as prominent as in the initial development phase, but there will be iterations, right? So that's when the analytics start, and analytics will continue after that. And your product development, it depends upon how much where you want to take your product to. So you may want to stop or slow down on the development efforts and keep your analytics efforts and marketing efforts on. So currently they are all still going hand in hand for us. Yeah. Yeah. We are working on the Android and we'll be releasing soon on Android. Yes, we'll be releasing very soon on Android, so it may double or triple our user base. So we are hoping the best there. Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, that's all. Okay, thank you. Thank you.